Hello and welcome, Free Enterprise race fans, to the Baron Heroes Journey race on this New Year's Eve of 2023. I am joined on comms today by the Blue Wizard. Blue Wizard, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Happy New Year's Eve to everyone that's celebrating, and a happy, I guess, technically New Year's Day for some folks in the world.
Indeed. Yeah, I think some people have already crossed over, but we have got a pretty fun flag set looking over it. Today's Baron's hero is Palom, the Black Mage, and we've got Tybalt and Scythe Marshall as our featured restreamers here. Um, Let's see. Our objectives today, we are going to have to complete ordeals, defeat the bosses Baron in, liberate Baron Castle, raise the Big Well, and have Coco Forge. So not too difficult of an objective list, do you think, Blue?
It's definitely not going to be a tough set of objectives, but um, from what I was, because went ahead and ran a practice sheet just to refamiliarize myself with the flags. I think the difficulty is going to be potentially in what our runners get as sort of starting characters, because within these flag sets, I mean, you don't have Cecil, you don't have Fu, you don't have Edge right out the gate. You might get them later on, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, and all the more so, you only have party of four. So your party size is limited, and probably the most interesting flag of all, see buy is on. So if you see a character and you let them go, they are not coming back. Now, thankfully, permajoin isn't on, so you do get a little bit of flexibility there. But at the same time, you kind of have to start making choices pretty quickly about who you want to be in your party, because if you kind of dismiss someone early, there's no going in the city to get them back.
Nope, there's gonna be like that NSYNC song, just bye, bye, bye.
And top of that, T Pro is on with only max tier 6, so and C Naki, so gear is going to be a little interesting. If you go mage heavy, you don't need gear maybe nearly as much as you would for a Zerker party, and I think with a Palom hero, you're probably thinking that way. But it really depends on how those characters shake out. So it should be interesting. I'm really curious to see how the runners kind of have those flags inform their decisions today.
Yep, and there are actually 3 kits that our runners will be getting right out the gate: the Better Kit, the Grab Bag, and the Dwarf Kit. So if we end up with some kind of cane or Sid out the gate,
Speaking
I
of,
I am a wizard. Uh, that Dwarf Axe is going to be very nice, as well as a spear for Kane.
wow,
So that,
and Magma Key right off the gate too.
wow, underground access already. You didn't have places to be today, did you?
Well, not until later tonight, so I wasn't thinking I needed to go that fast.
I mean, underground access, that does open up the majority of the seed already.
And it does, and I think it's going to lead to probably some fading of Fabul. You can set up Sheila 1 almost immediately. In fact, it looks like Scythe is just going to go ahead and drop that key right off the bat.
With S Pro being on, that is a very strong play, because that'll allow you to go ahead and get a lot of those underground items, like hourglasses, which will allow you to go ahead and kind of clear Evelyn pretty quickly.
Speaking of Mage Party, a Rydia in Mysidia, also joined by an Edward. I can see that Edward being dismissed there. But you don't have to worry about that till later anyways, till your party fills up.
Yeah, Eddie, it is a bit of in my opinion, it is a bit of an interesting play, taking Eddie early on, because the spoon flag's on, because you have Eddie stretch. That hide is really helpful if you get, like, say, Evil Wall in the wrong spot. So it is interesting, and it's because you can still take the characters right now, and if you find someone stronger later, then just pop them out and move on.
Unfortunately, we're going to be saying goodbye to Sid on Ordeals, and that means he is forever gone. But with free characters and earned characters both on, you're going to have plenty of things to choose from. And it looks like Scythe Marshall is going to kind of follow what you were talking about, Blue, and do some really early shopping, kind of get some idea of what gear is out there. And with those starting kits, you have the cash to kind of go ahead and buy some of that stuff right off the bat.
Oh, coffins right out the gate. Very cool.
Coffins are really nice. You at least have some flavor of guards waiting for you in Baron that you got to get through. That was one thing we didn't touch on. You have to do all of your objectives today in order to get your crystal and go fight Z.
Yep, this is a complete 5-win crystal, not complete 5-win game. That would be a little too fast. But I think the challenge, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be not necessarily trying to figure out how to complete these objectives, but how to complete these objectives with what group composition the seed throws at you.
Yeah, definitely agree on that one. It's with party of 4, it's a little trickier, right? Because normally with 5, it's a little easier to make that decision, especially with maybe say hero to just go ahead and toss a cursed ring and agility anchor there. But with less people, you may need that firepower. So you got to start thinking about what your agility anchoring is going to be. And that really probably is going to inform your party. As we see Tybalt let go of that poor Edward for Palom, Twin Magic's going to be really useful on this overworld.
Yep, Twin Magic, the ability to have an actual white mage. Definitely, like you said, having that Twin Magic on the overworld is a very, very strong start.
Scythe Marshal, the runner of the people, validating the seed. Tonight, our job dwarf is a show for, very apropos for a New Year's Eve seed.
Yeah, and speaking of and for the people, I believe we have a very specific meta objective, which
Indeed.
is let's see, Ultimate Bluff. Using the Bluff command to achieve a max Wisdom of 99 and defeat a boss using a maximum boosted nuke, quake, or virus at least once.
Now that one, I probably need some help. Do you have any idea how many bluffs that actually takes?
It takes a few. Yes, quite a few.
Quite a few.
Because I think it's only by 5 or 10. Jack, can you help us out here?
Yeah, and obviously going to be informed by what level you do it at. I don't think anyone's going to probably do that early on.
No, definitely not. And the stat sticks like Stardust rods and Asura rods are definitely going to help us out with that.
Yeah, going to be a little more difficult to come by though, unfortunately, with that T-Pro mix on. You're going to have to, I think you have to find those either in a chest or from Kokals at that point.
Yep, find it from Kokal, but with the flag sets, we do have Super Smith on. So getting an Asura rod for Palom is definitely viable. Which that'll give plus 15 to his wisdom stat.
I believe so. I'm not as familiar with the Super Forge, having never played the advanced version myself, unfortunately. One of these days I will. When I'm not playing free enterprise all the stinking time.
Yeah, I only actually know about the Asura rod because the one seed I ran earlier today gave me it. And so it's just I think I just ran it a couple hours ago, and so it's still fresh in my head.
Now, interesting. Scythe Marshal happened upon some sirens there, and committing relatively early to the party. Going to go ahead and probably do, I'm going to guess 3 with the 3 coffins in hand and get some really early levels. This is really smart, especially before the overworld, because I think 1 egg alone will get Palom to Quake, and that'll just trivialize the rest of the overworld for you. It looks like it's going to be 2, actually.
Yep, and doing an egg siren, it's very low risk, right? So that 34,000 experience, and you don't have to worry about people dying.
Exactly, and just kind of making your life so much more easier, at least getting those first couple chicks. And thank you to Firth in chat pointing out that bluff is plus 16 wisdom. So basically, about 5 are going to do you in. So find your boss that is susceptible to magic, about 5, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, and I think depending on what one of our runners may do, just to assert that dominance over at Twin Harp, do it at Twin Harp, and then just completely obliterate their magic defense.
I wonder how this works if it's the alt gauntlet. Do you have to do it to all of them? Are we splitting hairs at this point?
I think we're splitting hairs, but if you really, really want it to be an overachiever, because it does say at least once. And technically, each combat is its own separate entity. And I think
True.
that's where the fine print gets a little bit finer.
I mean, that being said, I think having alt gauntlet at the harp does take away some of the fun because it does negate the magic defense at that spot. But yes, it would be pretty above and beyond to see one of our runners, kill the boss with maybe a 1 even at full bluff.
Yeah, I think the ultimate overachieving would be to get an alt gauntlet and to do it on every single fight. But the last fight, you do it with Meteo. Just because.
The ultimate swag.
Yep.
So Tybalt making the dive down into the Fey March, going to give us a look at our free item and our bosses. K-Summon is on, but K-Moon is off, so the moon will be by default haunted, even though it likes to be anyways. Also really smart getting a lot of looting in here with T-Pro. That waiting, I think, is much more important. Picking up a self-summon, that's going to be fantastic for Iridia. But that waiting plays much more in hand with the underground. So with that free access, you can kind of get some nice treasure here and not have to worry about doing some of those spots like Antline that you traditionally would in T Wildish.
And we see on Scythe Marshal's side, going up ordeals, taking on that Bahamut fight should be relatively quick with our 5th party member, the ever elusive Dancing Dagger.
Also picking up an Earth Crystal as the free item in the Fey March. That means we are definitely going to raid that treasury with this spread on here. And hopefully round out the rest of our party, pick up one of those stat sticks you were talking about. But Scythe making very quick work of that Bahamut, not even waiting for the Mega Nuke to come out. Just going to change and charge that next boss, which is going to be some flavor of, it's vanilla.
I mean, I'm always a fan of vanilla here, just because it's nice to see a little bit of originality in a randomizer. Like, oh yes, I know this fight. It's great. Yay. Vanilla is a good flavor. And with Tybalt, circling back, with Tybalt picking up that Earth Crystal, that's going to be a very, very, how do I say, like, strong... Yeah, it's just going to be really, really strong here because it does gate 2 characters. Those 2 characters could be Edge, Cecil, or Fusoya. Which, if it's any of those, can go ahead and provide a larger amount of leverage.
Yeah, picking up one of those would be absolutely fantastic, especially with the smaller party size and really not having found a very good orb for Iridia yet. You're starting to think about how long you're going to drag her along before you worry about finding one of those. So yeah, going up Zot with those 3 gated characters, you're going to get 2 checks at them. And if you find one of those gentlemen hanging out up there, that is probably going to set you up for the rest.
Yep. Unfortunately, though, you got to get some levels because Tower of Zot, it does have a little bit of health.
Oh my goodness, we have picked up a spoon, and we know that eddies are in the sea. That is fantastic. In fact, I think Scythe still has his.
Yep. And Wyvern coming out with a heat ray that just Palom is dodging like he's dancing in the sun.
You have to wonder if Tybalt's going to have some, going to be kicking himself when he sees that spoon up there, because of course, with it being an objective, Ordeals is coming soon for him as well.
Yep. Now the only saving grace behind that would be to pick up on see if Eddie's somewhere else in the seed, or if if he picks up an edge from that Tower of Zot.
Tybalt checking Miss Cave. Unfortunately, not vanilla. We've already seen that, so can't have too much of that, I guess. Doing the search for D-Mist, because K no free flat, or the K, or actually?
Yeah, K no free.
Yeah, correct. K no free is off, or is on, I guess. So you need to find that D-Mist to get that free item. Bedward is not going to give it to you.
Yep, Bedward is just going to look at you like the sickly prince that he is and go back to sleep.
Just trying to get some rest. Maybe had too much fun partying last night or tonight.
Yeah, he got a little thrown off by the daylight savings time. He just did a little too much partying.
I think we may have talked over that music, but we did get to rate that treasury, and I think that's a pretty good one. What do you think, Blue?
I think that was pretty good. Definitely worthy of T-Pro.
Oh, goodness. We have Senator Crocodile on Scythe Marshall's side. Is here to send us away with a New Year's message.
Yep, Senator Croc 2023. I'm here for it. I think he'll get along just swimmingly.
I see you. I see that joke. Interesting. Scythe making really good use. Picked up a Blizzard Spear for Kane. And one of those lesser known things is there actually are quite a few items. Everyone knows about the Stardust Rod and stuff like that, but there are a few other items, even for the Zerkers, that cast spells, and one of them is the Blizzard Spear. You can use it to cast Ice too, so if you just need a little bit of AoE, that can do the trick. So real heads up play there.
Yep, definitely. And I think one of those other items that can do that is the Aegis Shield that casts Protect or Armor or something like that.
Interesting. That was one I actually didn't know about, which is for shame, considering I was in the Aegis Shield group in Adamant Cub.
Okay, hang on, let me just go grab my my bell of shame.
Well, hopefully it's a good way to ring out the new year.
I see you. Well played.
All right. So here goes Tybalt up Zot. Gonna go ahead and get those checks in, like you said, especially picking up all that gear and being right there. It's gonna drop you off in Baron, where you can do Baron in. Real heads up routing here. Especially with all that good gear. Holy Toledo, Strength Ring and a White Spear is gonna do a lot of work for you.
Yep, and well, I mean, yeah, definitely. We got camping gear, we've got healing gear, we've got all kinds of things to help us out with this Zot run.
Very interesting to be routing this in before Ordeals. I think Tybalt went underground pretty quickly and committed to some of that looting there and picking up some characters, getting a bit of a grind done, and with that Earth Crystal in hand, figuring that getting probably a look at what the final party would be with these gated characters is much more important than knocking out some of those easier objectives.
Agreed. Yeah, and speaking back to the routing bit, it actually I was going through the topography or geography in my head, and so if he routes it the way I think, it'll go Zot 1 to Zot 2 to Baron Inn, and then he could just head west and go straight to Ordeals, which knocks off a lot of time. And we see Sushi for Zot 1, which is absolutely beautiful because the more you beat down Octoman, the slower he gets.
Yeah, I think maybe the only kind of unfortunate thing here with that is that that White Spear is not going to do nearly as much work as you'd like, with Octomon being resistant to holy damage there. And on Scythe Marshal's side, we see him wrap up the Vivalis at Baron in 2 spot and pick up a package for his troubles. Probably not an item we're going to be looking at, but kind of ever that progress towards 10 key items. Actually, I take that back.
You know what? Actually, the White Spear is working out just fine because Tybalt's going for the meta objective.
Given a bit of room there, getting the damage in and kind of bringing the health down so that when you get that virus off, it's done.
Mm-hmm. Because when it's at 1 tentacle is when it's almost dead.
Scythe Marshal having cleared out most of the overworld there, getting those 2 kind of straightforward objectives done. Finally going to dip down and take a look at that free item in those bosses in the Fey March. And there it is.
There it is. Tybalt 2010 with our meta objective being complete. Because I believe that was 5 bluffs.
Interesting. Taking a look at the agility there before going back and picking up a safety save. We have not seen Golbez, so not a bad idea. Golbez can be very tricky in this position.
Yep. But, excuse me. Golbez, Valvalis. Yeah, both very tricky when you have a mostly mage party. And speaking of gated characters, there's a Dark Knight Cecil waiting for him. Chat, we have not seen a Mega Sisters yet. And speaking of people who can cast spells, there's a Fusoya. So a Cecil and a Fusoya in the Tower of Zot.
That is a couple of fantastic pickups. Yeah, interesting. Letting go of the Cecil. Going to focus on those mage strats first and foremost. My guess is going to be that we're going to see Tybalt, as soon as he finds another mage, letting go of that Kane as well. Seems to really be leaning into mage strats for this party.
Completely understandable. We see Scythe Marshal doing a little bit of shopping underground before going and checking those bosses, because Case Summon is on. And if there are just the right bosses there, then, well, a Sparkle on the TKC.
Ooh, that DKC is going to be real mean at either one of those positions. That is a lot of dark waves to get through. That said, speaking of Eddie and hide strats, one of the really great positions where you can get a hide off and just keep away from those waves, be unsafe, is off. So if Scythe can do that, then you're through, and it looks like he's going to give it a shot. Oh, interesting. Not actually going to go check the Sparkle to see which one it is.
I feel that power play.
Ooh, that's a bad spot for Ogopogo. But then again, how many good spots are there?
I know of at least one. There's one okay spot for Ogopogo, and that is in Mist Cave. Only because it's got really low health.
Maybe Fabul, because you get that free heal right afterwards.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, despite having that Eddie, Scythe not feeling up for trying to get a hide strat off for those dark waves. But Tybalt's wrapping up Zot here, and we are going to see just a ribbon. Unfortunately, a Zonk there for a long check, but you know what? I think that Fu is the real prize for that check.
It really is. What'll be an even greater prize is to see like what spells he actually got.
Yeah, I did notice Tybalt has really been kind of staying away from doing any sort of boss gated checks. So his food still only with 600 HP, long way to go there. But gonna get two right here. Sees that Eddie, seems to be leaning into those those mage strats. But with a no, that's right, he hasn't found the spoon yet. So there's no way that Eddie's sticking around.
Nope, he has not found it just yet.
So at this point, our checks are starting to get a little slim. We've seen pretty much everything on the overworld, and outside of the underworld, I don't think we've done any underworld checks other than setting up Sheila 1, which Scythe is going to go turn in right here, and our key items. So unless we start picking up some key items that lead to other checks, looks like Dwarf Castle is going to be our funnel point here.
Yep. Yeah, because I don't necessarily see either of our runners attempting that Ogo spot anytime real soon, to be honest.
Oh goodness, thank goodness for that spoon, because we're going to keep the doot-doot-doots to a minimum today. Bless our ears.
Scythe Marshal wrapping up that Fabul check. And getting a rat tail for it.
Interesting, no hook to be had, so not of any immediate value unless Sheila 1 happens to have that hook, which could happen.
I mean, Sheila does have the goods.
She does up until she doesn't. Nothing feels worse than setting up a pan check and getting a double zonk from Sheila. Oh, but she does have the goods with a darkness crystal.
With a darkness crystal. Alright, let's go. Because not only is that an objective, that's also our pathway to Z, because neither of our runners neither of our runners have picked up the pass yet.
No pass to be found. Also another gated character check. So you could potentially see that edge, maybe see another foo up there. And also another really great shop to open up as well. May find your sirens up there. Actually, I think we may already have found sirens. But stuff like hourglasses as well are to be had.
Yep, I'm calling it right now that there's going to be a Tella up there and on the moon for gated characters.
A very firm candidate for the C-buy.
Yep. Well, I mean, unless you were really wanting to do that D machine grind, right? Because everyone wants to do that with sirens in play.
Oh, totally fun. Even with a foo as well.
Alright, let's see. Tybalt selling off the everything. Cleaning out the kitchen sink, as it were.
Always a good idea. It's everyone talks about all the mean bosses out there, Kainazo and all the like in Ogopogo, but truly the worst boss is the inventory boss. Nothing feels worse than when you're looting and all of a sudden you get that screen pop up and you realize you got to sit there and throw away a whole lot of goods.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the one boss that will quite literally stop you in your tracks.
Interesting bit of routing. After all of our kind of very different routing decisions, both runners have ended up in Antline at the same time. And we are going to see a very easy sparkle, regardless of what it is.
Well, that sparkle has more sparkles because those D-Lunars are lighting up the night.
2-for-1 deal with these bosses. And indeed, Tybalt making very quick work of them and getting a Baron key
Ooh,
for his
buddy.
troubles. Wow, we are making very quick work. You mentioned needing to be somewhere, Blue Wizard.
Yeah, because that'll, let's see, that will give Scythe Marshal his fourth check, or his fourth objective complete. And then really it's just finding those two halves of adamant, of forge. But where those two are, that's going to be questionable. And we see Tybalt hesitating for just a second about, do I want to take that third Eddie?
Very interesting. Still sticking around to take on this Golbez. Must be looking for spells on food, because there really isn't much other reason to stick around here. But the Seed very, very much begging Tybalt to take this Edward. I gotta imagine, once again, even kind of leaning into these Zerker strats, seeing that Spoon on Ordeal's gonna have to feel at least a little bit.
Yep, the which actually, well, yeah, we know that Tybalt hasn't done ordeals yet, so he like you mentioned earlier, he doesn't know that the Spoon exists in an active setting.
Oh, very heads-up play from Tybalt, getting a stone off on Kane, because no matter what the state is in, Golbez only wants to leave, or I should say Shadow, Golbez's pet dragon, only wants to leave 2 people alive. So wanting to make sure that hopefully Fu or maybe Palom stays up, got the stone off to kind of better set those odds for him.
Yep, and much like with Atline, Tybalt making very quick work of Golbez. Just powerhousing through that fight, getting a little bit of extra XP on people, and not really getting rewarded with his efforts. That was just a float, a sight, and a slow. Scythe Marshal running into I believe those are the Kaipo Inn guards.
Indeed, must be on their way back from their failed mission to Kaipo.
Yep, but still going to be very, very easy to take on. Hourglasses, coffins, copious amounts of damage coming from patently average Kane. My my favorite script about this fight is when you take out the officer first, and the soldiers just have no idea what to do, so they just beat themselves up.
You just got to take out the leader. It's a very interesting choice that they even programmed that in. Somebody made the conscious decision. It's like, now let's put this in here, knowing that 90% of people running vanilla would never even find that.
Going with vanilla, that really plays into the idea that Baron was led by a bunch of brainless people. The king was replaced. Kane got mind controlled how many times? And then you take out the officers of this place, and their own guards just don't even know what to do with themselves.
They built a waterway and let it get infested with crocodiles and alligators.
Yep. What a world we live in. And
apparently Baron is like Disney World.
Yeah, and just the only difference being Disney World's crocodiles aren't running for president.
Speaking of that, Tella, well, maybe Tella is up on the moon, but Tella's also hanging out in Baron. A very quick see-by there.
Yep, Palom happy because there are 2 other children that take the stone wall place.
And the very long walk down the very long stairs to the trash can of Baron gives us just a light sword, indeed a trash can today.
Yep, it's a very good place for it. Uh, and Tibble missing with an off-slot stone. Uh, Seeing him with a very, very familiar RNG of whether or not that would hit. And actually, wanted to go ahead and mention something about that. So we know that Sea Hero's on. Sea Hero, the agility will follow whoever the hero is. In this case, Palom. What some runners may or may not know is that even though the agility will follow that hero regardless of what spot you put them in, you can still put someone in that center slot to take advantage of that plus 20% accuracy to both spells and physical attacks. So you got Runex, yeah, go ahead and throw someone in the center, get that plus 20% accuracy bonus, and start swinging away.
Yeah, that's actually one of the kind of funner aspects of the Sea Hero flag is the ability to take advantage of that. Because normally, you've got to park whoever your anchor is dead center. But with Sea Hero, like you said, you can put them off slot and take advantage of a couple of those ones, especially characters like Yang, or some of those characters that maybe just need a little bit of help.
Yep, or like having a Fusoya in the middle to take advantage of that accuracy bonus to say hit with stone on officers. Tybalt, we love you.
Did get an HP ran out script. Those are always fun to see, even if it's just some silly dolls, but you don't see that all the time.
Yeah, I think it's actually rather exquisite to see that happen on dolls, because it's like, haha, we're going to turn into a giant Calbrana doll, and never mind, we're going to die due to poison ticks.
Fade away into obscurity.
Seth Marshall seeing Rosa come on board.
Yeah, interesting choice here, but once again, I think realizing hasn't picked up an orb for Rydia, but Rydia is about to grow up and can get Leviathan here. So seems to be leaning into the mage strats as well, getting rid of that Cane instead. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Breathing a sigh of relief to make that decision right there.
And we see Tybalt running down into the Baron basement to go ahead and check that Odin spot to see maybe he'll score an Adamant Rock or a Legend Sword. Maybe he's also looking for Darkness Crystals. So
oh goodness, I guess Antlion got the news that the moon was haunted and decided that he'd just stick on Earth this time. Didn't want to be left out.
No, he found himself a very comfy, cushiony chair and decided to take home.
I'm also realizing with Scythe Marshall, I think one of the reasons we saw some hesitation on the choice of who to let go for the Rosa there is I believe the warp glitch is on. Actually, it is not, so I take that all back. Whoop.
Let's see. What do we have for glitches? We have the life glitch, the self glitch, and the back row glitch.
Yeah, so
I did miss. Was it the tower key that came from Dwarf just then?
Yes, it was indeed the tower key. So yeah, gonna funnel right on over there with kind of a very few checks left outside the case summon spots. Really makes sense to just go ahead and go see what's going on over there.
Oh. And Tybalt playing the roulette game with Blink against Antlion. Thankfully, that white spear putting in all kinds of work. It may only be 600 damage, but it's 600 damage that doesn't invoke a counter script.
Yeah, and I think this is really where Fu is shining as well, because this is a very fast Antlion, but you have 2 blink casters, so you can kind of keep up with those blinks. Going offensive nonetheless, but like you said, getting a lot done here. This is a great party for Antlion because you're not going to trigger those counters. You can jump, you can use the white spear like you were saying. You've got your attack magic. You can get this done with only we're having to worry about the punches.
Yep. However, though, unfortunately, those punches are really hard because Normally, there's Odin in here, and Odin hits hits pretty hard for this spot. Thankfully, though, Antlion doesn't cast any spells, um, so he won't hit for almost quad nines against this party.
Yeah, this is a very tricky spot in that it has very high physical and very high magic attack as well. It's got both of them going on because of the nature of Odin and what they want that script to be. So you have to worry about both, but getting through and getting that pass, yeah, that's fantastic. Still hasn't seen that darkness crystal yet. So now with that in hand, if Scythe doesn't end up going and checking that Baron throne, which having already liberated Baron and not doing the throne may wait till very last, that could really be a pretty decisive point right there. That difference in the distance getting to Z.
Agreed. Yeah, the because if you only have to make the trip to Z once, that's great. But if you wipe, that's another trip that you have to make, and that's more time off your run.
Scythe Marshal finding just the King and Queen of Eblin in the tower room, not the favorite spot there, with it having, I think, maybe only about 1,000 HP points there. But makes quick work of it, of course. Going to go check top of tower, also a somewhat tricky spot, if only because it has very high HP and very high defense. And seeing an Odin there, that is even more so a bit tricky. It's not going to hit you very hard, but that Odin Zansuken is going to do plenty enough to kill this party. So you are on a time limit with this fight.
Yep, unless you are very proficient in doing your Thunderstruck strats.
Which you may be setting up for. Put Eddie up towards the top. I am absolutely atrocious at him. I don't think I've ever actually got one off. So I have nothing but admiration for anybody who can even do it once. And I think we might see that play come from Scythe, kind of setting up to put Eddie up at the top and get that hide off right away.
Yep, I was just going to say, this is a beautiful time to have Eddie with the spoon, because, hey, I'm going to raise my sword to hit you with the Zantetsuken. Oh, wait, no, there's no one there.
Choosing violence instead, gonna zerk up the Eddie and throw Leviathan, feeling pretty confident they could just get through this without having to worry about even getting to that step.
Hey, you know what? I am totally here for it. We're gonna throw all the spells at it. The Quakes, the Nukes, the Viruses, the Leviathans, the Kitchen Sink, the Zooms. And on Tybalt's side, we see him taking down that Mylon Z just like he's a flan in a cupboard.
Yeah, heads up move there from Scythe casting slow. It is on a timer, so getting a couple slow casts off can give you that little bit of wiggle room to get that damage out.
Yep, just
plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
Oh goodness, just an Earth Hammer for all that work. That is perhaps one of the lowest tier zonks one can get. And maybe a bit of a crummy zonk climbing all the way to the top of this tower. But you did have 2 checks here. Gonna get that tower key check on the way out. So crossing the fingers that you're gonna get some part of Forge there.
Yep, because the options are looking pretty slim at this point.
Yeah, we really only have 3 gating key items left with the Luca key, the Twin Harp, and the Pan.
Yep, Twin Harp, Luca key, Pan, and then technically I guess we also have the 2 bosses down in Feymarch. We also have Cave Bahamut. So okay, yeah, but still, there's still a few, not too many options left.
Yeah, I think outside of picking up one of those gated key items, I think we're going to see a fly over to the Fade March after this. It's pretty much all that's left. And indeed, with just a sand ruby, maybe going to make that character check. It's another gated character, and it could be a very good one.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really try and go for a specific character? I guess maybe if it's like exactly Fu. Well, yeah, I mean, we know that it's Fu and Cecil up there, but um, yeah, I mean, I think that taking only cat like Fu at this point is the viable choice because he already comes equipped with spells and stats.
Yeah, he's a perfectly good white mage that can get a couple nukes off between the big bangs and whatever else that you're going up against in some of these later bosses. But that is right. Scythe Marshal has not done the Tower of Zod. And, K main checks are going to have much more likelihood to have key items. Unfortunately, we know that's not the case today. But yeah, I think perhaps those two gated characters, the treasury check, and the key item is much more alluring than having to worry about that atrocious Ogopogo down there.
Yep. While we have a moment, while our runners are doing their respective portions of the seed, I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to the runners. We have our on stream Tybalt 2010, Scythe Marshal, and then also a massive shout out to everyone behind the scenes, my co-commentator Beauty and Discovery. We have on restream Oscar424. And then also pushing the buttons, we have Zald. So please go ahead and give them a follow. They are wonderful and amazing people.
And on top of that, we have just a wonderful and amazing community. This has been one of my favorite places to spend time this year and kind of get to know a lot of great people and make some friends. So please take a moment also to check out our Discord. It is nothing but friendly people that want to help you learn how to play the game if you're curious, or learn to get better if you feel like you can sharpen your skills. So a fantastic place to come and hang out.
Yep, and with this particular flag set that's being run, the Baron's Hero Journey. This is one of many community clubs. If you come on over to the Discord, under the community clubs section, you'll see all the different names for all the different clubs that are out there. They're all specifically themed. They have different flag sets I believe each week or each season. And if you're brand new to this game, you might think, oh well, I've never played the vanilla. I don't know what do. That's totally fine. We have a newbies corner, we have documentation, there's even a specific community club geared towards those who are fresh out the gate and just want to learn what we're doing here in these flags, or just how to have fun in the randomizer. All right, on the right side of the screen, we do see Scythe Marshal going up against that Octomam. Tibble on his side, knocking out that Plague.
Yeah, kind of crossing paths here. Both doing those K main checks like I was talking about. You have just a greater percentage of picking up a key item, and we're really kind of running thin on where the goods are going to be. I think we're pretty much stuck on either that on the Fey March at this point. Both runners have been doing opposing checks, so I think we've seen just about everything else. Keep me honest there, Blue, but I think our path to progress, whether it is both of our forge items or some of those gated key items that are going to move us forward, are going to be in that Fey March.
Yep. Well, I feel like, well, it's going to be a little tough. Yeah, because on the moon we only have really the Cave Bahamut check, but that Cave Bahamut check could be one of the Half Forge.
Indeed, I had forgotten about that. The moon, K moon is off, so that's all the checks in the lunar subterrane. But that Bahamut Cave is a K summon check, so you do have at least one thing. So I've been talking a lot about Haunted Moon. I could be distinctly wrong.
It's very very interesting to see if both of our runners will kind of reconverge and meet up at the Fey March, or if we see them just kind of diverge and one goes to that Cave Bahamut check while the other, continues to just be underground.
Yeah, I think that kind of speaks to some of the trickiness of a randomizer, right? Sometimes you got to take a gamble, and something like that Bahamut spot. That's one spot versus two in the Fey March. So logically, you kind of want to get pulled towards the Fey March to take those two bosses. But if they have nothing, or they only have one part of Forge and not another gated key item, you're going to have to go to Bahamut anyway. So if someone takes that gamble, goes to Bahamut first, and it pays off, it could be a huge advantage for them.
Yep, and well, we know Tibble as the gambler, or the gambler of the people, kind of always doing some of those kind of outside the norm type checks, because and it can pay off, because honestly, you don't know where everything's going to be. It could be in that cave Bahamut spot. It could be behind that Leviathan check. Um, so it's just, I mean, you don't know, and sometimes you just gotta take that chance.
Scythe Marshal also committing to letting go of that Cecil. Very interesting. I think with Rosa as a white mage, that eventually will get white. You've got your hero that will get to nuke eventually, and Fu that has nuke and can do white magic as well, and a spoon word. I guess really not much desire to go with the Zerker strat there. You've already got enough punching power in our one little spoon word, and we can get the rest of that through magic.
Yep, and I think it's very interesting with this particular flag set, because with the max tier 6, it kind of does hamper taking someone like Cecil. However, because Cecil was so strong, if you get in like that lightsaber that we initially started with, um, maybe a power shirt, Zeus gauntlet kind of thing, then he can be adequate. But he's just not as viable in this particular flag set, which I think it does gear a bit more towards the mages, but it still leaves a little bit of wiggle room to take them if you need to.
Yeah, and you got to commit to the time effort of going and finding one of those holy stores. They call it nuke on a stick, and it's really amazingly useful and strong. But at the same time, there's certainly no guarantee. I think anyone who's run this game has done those 3 Eblin trap chests where you normally will get one and not gotten one, and then wondered, how useful is Cecil really?
Yep, because then you have to go ahead and worry about grinding him back up. Is he set up for slingshot? And honestly, with T Pro being on, I don't necessarily see Eblin being as sought out as like if T Wildish was on.
Scythe finally realizing where this choke point, this seed is going to be, coming down to the Fey March, going to take a rest and a save and try and figure out the puzzle that's going to be that Ogo Pogo, especially. Full-powered Fu, Ogo can be a little risky because he is not like magic, so you can't just lean back on mage strats as much as you would with other ones.
Yep, getting up from that Marriott stay. Yeah, I think the Ogo fight is gonna be one where you're gonna have to play it smart. Like you gotta drop down your battle speed, make sure that people are equipped properly, spells are in however order that is gonna be most efficient for you, because front row back row doesn't matter, because he only throws spells and says friendly hellos with waves.
Sometimes twice, even.
Yep. Although, oh wait, no, I take that back. Ogo Pogo. He does punch, punch, wave, punch, punch, double wave. So yeah, he does punch. Yes. So never mind. Back row, front row does matter.
Yeah, he punches quite a bit, and that can be the tricky part, trying to get through that. I see. Scythe putting on an Artemis bow and ninja hats, trying to get the Eddie absolutely as fast as possible so he can get his turn first. Not going to work this time, but I think with just enough time to get a cure off. Should be able to keep this Fu up. Yeah, not a
Yep.
problem at all. Maybe hoping for those extra levels on the Eddie, but nonetheless, totally safe.
Yep. And Tybalt coming back down to the Fey March as well. Now that he has a very powerful Fu, he can go ahead and take on that DKC fight as well.
Only the pink tail from the DKC, so it seems like all routes lead to this Ogopogo. That is quite rude. Now, both of these runners do have one spot the other has not checked. Scythe has not done the Baron Basement, and Tybalt has not turned in Sheila 1, so there still are other options for them.
Yep. Now, I know Tybalt's gonna go after that, obviously that DKC fight, but I am really curious to see if he takes that Ogo spot. I have a feeling he's gonna try, mostly because he did take on that Etline in the basement. But I'm curious to see if he does, and if he does, what comes out of it. Because also, chat's pointing out that neither of our runners have been to Twin Harp. Also, neither of our runners have been to. Well, neither of our runners have gotten the hook yet either. So that rat tail, pink tail, still sitting there looking pretty.
And Sheila 2 as well. You know, we still need 2 key items, so there still is a decent amount that has to be looked for. Now there is a lot that can be said about how difficult Ogopogo is, but level solve all things, and I think that's how Scythe Marshal is going to go ahead and solve this. Picked up quite a few Sirens over in Tamra and just going to grind to high heaven. HP will do a lot of things for you.
Oh yeah, and the Scythe looking to try and get those Assassin Dagger procs. And it looks like Tybalt is going to do a save and then go after that Sparkle.
Interesting. Very difficult boss to get through, but you know, I think with Porum and Fu being able to cast Blink, that's going to do a lot to help you with those punches. And then you just have to somewhat stay on top of those waves so they don't get ahead of you. Once again, Double White Mage shouldn't be too much of a problem. Must be filling up for the challenge here, and I think should be perfectly fine doing so.
Yeah, Tybalt is one, definitely one of the more skilled runners that I've seen, and he's got to be feeling pretty confident with this group composition to go ahead and go after Ogo in this particular instance. Our tracker Zald raises a very strong point that D-Mist could be behind package, which would also have one of our key items.
That is true. So we actually have quite a few checks. It's just very interesting how this seed has played out, with our funnel point here. So we could have a really nasty chain going on here. A pan check into a harp with a Deimist in it, into a Luca key. But let's hope for the sake of our runners that is not the way we're going to go.
And Ogopogo not hitting as hard as I thought he would. But his physical attack combined with the waves still puts a hurt on the team.
Yeah, and that with, kind of hamstringing your mages, like I was saying, if you cast spells, he's going to reply with Blaze, which is extremely strong, especially with the magic attack at this spot. Not the highest magic attack, but nonetheless enough to kind of do in that Palom and Porum being less than 1,000 HP.
Yep.
Wow, and that back row Kane still taking nearly 1,300 damage.
But we do see Tybalt going and bluffing up the Palom again. Ah, I see what he's going to do. Reflect strats against Ogo. Well played.
Very smart. Yeah, like many kind of counterattacks, if you're reflecting spells off of a wall onto them, it will get around that counter script and do plenty of damage without having to worry about the consequences. But yeah, no, there's we're talking about Demas behind package. There are plenty of rather rude spots that Demas can be and have a piece of our forge. Maybe the hook route that we don't have to go on. We don't even have a hook yet at this point. Could be up on the giant. So there's I think a few different options that will make for some really kind of nasty hunting.
Definitely. And we see with the Starveil doing the reflect strats and just with Kane swinging away. This fight is pretty well under wraps. Until you run out of mana.
Interesting question, chat. If Palom falls, does he lose the boost from bluff? I am fairly confident he does not lose the boost as long as you're within the battle. I think the only time when he loses those is between fights and the gauntlet. And maybe in Luge as well.
Yeah, so it is... Oh, he does not. Yeah, no, so Palom will retain his bluff boost so long as you, like you were saying, Beauty, so long as you are within the confines of that fight. So transitional fights like Dark Elf, Luge, Gauntlet, he will lose the bluff boost because you are finishing one fight and moving to another.
Speaking of the hook, that is the key item from that Ogopogo. So now that the story is, does that rat tail have another piece of our chain here, or is it going to give us a bit of a dead end and we will have to go to Bahamut? But regardless, Tybalt going to get his grind in before worrying about that business.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to point out the irony here. Tybalt went ahead and did Ogopogo and then did his grind. Scythe Marshal did his grind and then is doing Ogopogo. And it's just, I love the, runners just kind of walking past each other like, oh, hey, I just did Ogo. Oh, yeah, I was about to.
Yeah, I think what kind of informed that is that Scythe already had 10 key items with that Darkness Crystal, whereas Tybalt only had 9, so that hook gave him 10. And so I can see why Scythe decided to grind beforehand, kind of had the benefit of those key items, made a little more sense. Whereas right when you're on that cusp, that can be one of the hardest calls to make as a runner, is when you're sitting at 9 key items, is do you just commit to the grind and keep going, or do you look for that 10th before you commit to the grind, especially when you're looking at, maybe a potentially very rude, a very rude Fey March.
Agreed, and it's always a, like you said, it's always kind of a tough choice or a tough decision. But then it kind of comes into play of how well do you know your team? How well do you know the scripts? What can you safely get away with? And there's definitely no qualms or there's no problem with getting some of those safety levels before taking on a rather rude fight like Ogopogo.
Oh no, not at all. I think that's one of those things that you learn early on. Even with the roughest party setup, the worst gear, levels will solve just about all of your issues. Give you the HP to get through it, give you the speed, give you just a little bit more strength or wisdom or willpower, whichever you're looking for. And even some of the rudest bosses with the worst party compositions, you'll do just fine.
Yep, and I'm gonna withdraw my guess on who's on the moon for gated character. And I'm actually gonna switch it to Yang because I don't believe we've seen him at all this seed.
That is right. Is C distinct on? I'm not. It is not, but nonetheless, yeah, Yong has been missing, and unless he's hiding behind the giant, hopefully he's going to make a visit. Can't
Yeah,
imagine he'll actually stick around though.
nope, not so much. Because you're talking about gaining levels. It sparked my memory of just Yang gets stronger with the more levels he has. I mean, case in point, but he particularly excels like his multipliers. He gets more of as the level kind of thresholds get exceeded.
Yeah, Yong
Uh,
is one of those characters that can be very frustrating in the early game at his lack of power, but by the end, he will pull his weight just as much as an Edge or a Kane, or even maybe not, Crystal Sword Cecil, but well kitted out Cecil, short of those ultimate holy swords. It's just kind of dragging him along for the seed until he gets to that point.
ooh, and we see Scythe Marshal taking a reset to Ogo, as Ogopogo punched that Fusoya for over 2,000.
Yeah, having two blink casters, you can kind of keep ahead, but if you get some really bad targeting luck, there's not much you can do. At the end of the day, randomization and the scripts, you know, bad targeting is bad targeting.
Yep, that RNG just got an RNG. I mean, Ogopogo, the danger noodle, really, he's a very lonely person. He wants to say hi to everyone. Greeting everyone down in the Fame Arch. Not many visitors. He just wants to wave and.
Starts off with a
Well,
proper greeting, but just doesn't know when to let it go.
yep.
Earned his reputation for a reason, after all, being called the Danger Noodle.
Danger, danger. Uh, let's see. Yeah, Jeff pointing out that there may have been a Yang earlier.
I think I remember it was Young in the waterfall, but as a boss.
Yang was in the Mist Cave as a boss.
Gotcha, one of those early positions.
Yep.
Scythe Marshall has a much better handle on this time. Thankfully didn't get an unfortunate punch, and looks to be quite well in the driver's seat this time around.
Yep. Lots of optical illusions. Doing a little dance. Getting down tonight.
Only gets more confusing when the visual glitch kind of kicks in and you don't actually see the blink effect, and you're like, wait, is my blink still going? Do I have one more? I'm not 100% sure here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because that was a little bit confusing when on Tybalt's side when he was doing the fight, and it's like I see the Fusoya standing there, and then they whiff after Ogo tries to punch him, and I'm going, but he didn't have play. Oh, it's a visual glitch. Okay, we're safe.
All right, Tybalt setting up Sheila 1, going above ground. I think the question is whether he checks those tails before he checks Sheila, but regardless, they're both kind of in the same wheelhouse. So we're going to find out pretty quickly which place we're going next, whether we're going to have to go up to the moon for that Bahamas spot, or if we got something else to chase here on Earth.
Yep, and he is going for those tail checks. Hopefully getting one half a forge. Or, in his case, maybe a darkness crystal, but that is just a Bahamut. A nice little chunk of change. And a Luca key. Ooh, buddy, that is spicy.
Yeah, I think you have to check that right here. It's going to be interesting though, right? Because Tybalt's probably going to go get his darkness crystal from Sheila. Did set that up, and indeed is heading that way. So
Yep.
the question is do you just stick on Earth, or do you just go get that Bahamut out of the way?
Oh, that. Well, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, in Tybalt's case, I think that you just go and get the Bahamut out of the way. You can check the moon shop while you're up there, knock out that Bahamut, depending on who's there, and then you don't have to come back to the moon, because in Tybalt's case, you have the pass. You just go up there for those maybe two things, and that's it. You don't have to go anywhere else. And you only actually really do. And if it doesn't even pan out to anything, you save scum it, and then you don't go back. But as Chap pointing out, there is a call that's Bahamut spot to the pan to the adamant, uh, and then to legend in Sheila 2, to which I can definitely at this point that we're at right now, that's looking almost like the play. And Tybalt going to the moon.
I mean, honestly, thinking about it, yeah, I think you're going to have to do that Bahamut spot, regardless of whether it has, the pan or the harp. You need two terminal key items, and we only have one path through that Luca key. So you're either going to get your forge here, or you're going to get the item that leads to forge. But either way, yeah, you have to do this Bahamut spot.
Yep. And we see
There
Scythe
you
Marshal getting his Luca key. Now the question is, does he go to the moon? Or does he... Oh, he's going to check that Luca key. And this is where we see like that determining factor, right? Which play is it that gets you to your go mode?
I take that back, actually. We still have Demas, so we have a third option. So we don't have to necessarily do that Bahamut. But watch
True.
Demas be at Bahamut.
Yep. Because, right, yeah, you're absolutely right. Demist could entirely be behind package, which would be rather ironic.
Interesting. Tybalt looks to be doing a little bit of hunting for that Demas. Raise the big whale. Raise the big whale, used the darkness crystal there, but did not head to the moon. Thinking maybe exhausting all options here on Earth before committing to that Bahamut play. Or looking for it up there. You may even have to go into the lunar subterrane looking for that D-Mist as well.
Yep. Yeah, because didn't even think about the two boss checks at the on the Evelyn check.
Yeah, it's easy enough to forget. Doing top of tower, you do get a peek at one. I can't quite remember, but I do know it wasn't D-Mist, because that definitely would have stuck. But you're going to have to run all the way to the boss spot to see who's in the king-queen spot.
Yep, that's a long check. That is one heck of a gamble, and there is an edge right there. Unfortunately, I think it's a little too late in the game to take anyone new.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we really have picked up too many really nice really nice swords for him anyway.
Well, we see Luca Key leading to one half of Forge. Ooh, buddy.
Luca Key required. Let's see how hard required with this boss here.
Just a water hag.
Water hag. Fantastic.
Well worth it.
This is a really tricky spot too. I think someone in chat earlier pointing out we had not seen Maga Sisters, and Maga Sisters are absolutely awful at this spot. So seeing a nice free fight here is fantastic, especially with Sea Hero on, and maybe not a lot of opportunities to bring our hero's agility down to better anchor.
Yep, because with Palom being the hero, there's actually almost no agility manipulation for him. I mean, sure, you've got Cursed Ring, but Ninja Hats will bring it up, Crystal Ring will bring it up. Ninja Hat, Crystal Ring, Cursed Ring will all manip it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that would actually adjust the agility for someone like Palom, because you can't get a heroine robe to bring it up. TR doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Just the Magus sisters at hook 1, so that is a bit of a strikeout, unfortunately.
Yep, that's okay. And oh, chat pointing out that Palom can use the assassin dagger. So okay, so we can have one more thing. And yeah, we see Tibble going to the Luca cave for that adamant rock, and I think, yeah, Moon is going to be hard required because um, that's the only thing left. So it's going to be Moon to Pan, Moon to Pan, or Twin Harp, and then to adamant rock.
Yeah, I think the only other path out of that is maybe if you have your demist up on the giant, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's true. I I am here today, I promise. Because Demas could be at any of those moon spots, any of the altars, any of the, yeah.
Yeah, hard to remember Demas sometimes, especially when you do a lot of free key item seeds. But Scythe doing the check, not seeing Demas, but gonna get the good news on that pass.
Ooh. Scythe Marshal taking a power play of Berserking Eddie, knowing that Antlion's gonna go ahead and counter with those thorns.
Yeah, it's too bad the hook route didn't work out for Tibble. You know, we were kind of talking a little bit earlier about the gambles, right? You know, with randomization, you don't know where stuff lands. That's kind of the nature of the game, and sometimes you just got to make those gambles. And you know, unfortunately, they don't work out in your favor. But when they do, it's pretty amazing. You know, if that demist had been there, that would solidly put him in the lead. Now puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage, but it really just depends on where that demist lands and where our runners end up going. You know, at a certain point, you just got to kind of make that cheeky play and figure out, you know, if we do have to dive into lunar subterranean, do you start bottom up, top down?
Yep, and honestly, if there was ever a spot to save scum, going down the hook route is definitely one to go about utilizing that with. Because that is a long walk down, that is a long walk back. And we see Scythe Marshal also what appears to be kind of hunting around for that demist as well.
Loving the cheeky Lilith Rod usage by Tibble to dispatch the Water Hag, showing that it doesn't have to be physical damage. Just getting anything off on him does it. So love a little bit of a cheeky play there.
Yep, because it's a fast animation. It's, you know, and then poof, you're done. We see Scythe Marshal now heading to the moon. Most likely going to go ahead and check that Cave Bahamut check.
Indeed, and I think the question is, you know, do you take it if it's not demist? And I think you do, regardless, right? You know, it's potentially has a key item, and it's just too much not to. But really hoping that you get a kind of easier boss there. The Bahamut spot can be one of the punchier spots in the entire game, and if we run into something that really likes to hit you, it's not going to be a very fun time.
Nope. Honestly, I think the only boss, I mean, aside from Demist at Cave Bahamut being a potential issue, is going to be Valvalis, because Valvalis at this particular spot doesn't have perfect magic defense. She has, I believe, 254 magic defense, which means those spells are not going to hit for much. However, that is not the case. That is going to be a leg.
Some form of, is it full or quarter? It is quarter.
Quarter leg. You've heard of quarterbacks, but now we present to you quarter legs.
Not a bad position. This Bylon is quite punchy, but if you can get through this early, the rest of the spots don't punch nearly as much, especially that Ruby. Typically, Ruby's kind of the dangerous phase because those fire threes and the glares off. But the magic attack here is a little low because of the nature of Bahamut and how they kind of coded it. So one nuke, you're through, and the rest of the battle should be relatively a breeze.
Yep, and we see, speaking of, we see Tybalt, right, nipping on Scythe Marshal's heels.
Yeah, this is turning to quite the close race. I think the seed kind of did that a little bit, and in the way it funneled, both of our racers have done all of the checks open to them before coming up here, which is only natural. This is very much a far out of the way check, so there's not much of a reason to come here unless you absolutely have to. And today it looks like we absolutely have to.
Yep. And if this Ice 3 will land, so Ruby doesn't have the blocking. Landing with that jump is one nuke, and Tybalt is done with this fight.
Oh goodness, just an apple. So that D-Mist is absolutely our path to freedom, and the boss hunt is on.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Ooh, buddy.
There's still a decent amount out there. So yeah, I think this is interesting, right? Because I think you're already on the moon. It's roughly about the same probably to either start doing your moon checks. You do have 5 bosses down there, or do you go to the giant? It's only 2, but this is where you got to take that gamble and think, it's logical to do this. But at the same time, if it's this and my opponent does the quote unquote logical thing, I'm way ahead.
So first off, I would like to go ahead and give a really big shout out to our restreamer Oscar424 for rolling us this joy of a seed. Because as she points out in chat, the D-Mist having the key item is going to be a chain. Oh, apparently it was Alchemy that went ahead and rolled this seed. So a massive shout out to Alchemy for this joy of a seed, because yes, the D-Mist, when our runners find her, is going to be chained. So it's going to be, Panned, Twin Harped, the other half of Forge, and then it's go mode. So this is a 17 seed.
Oh goodness, our tracker is all day pointing out we still have a package boss that D-Mist could potentially be.
Yep. Could be package, could be anywhere on the moon. The logical play, in my opinion, is definitely, you went up to the moon, you took that Cave Bahamut, but and you're still up there, so why not run around the LST and see if D-Mist is up there.
Tybalt indeed going to check and see if it's up there. And going bottom up, you have your biggest concentration of bosses down there on the bottom. But with Scythe taking the save after seeing the cutscene, I have a feeling that he's going to go top down.
Yep, entirely possible. And again, we see that divergence. Like you were mentioning earlier, do you go top down, bottom up?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, bottom up makes, I would argue, the most sense. You have 3 bosses right there, right next to each other very quickly. But once again, rando's going to rando, and you never know where it's going to land. And at a certain point, when you're only looking for a singular boss, I don't know. There's definitely arguments for both that can be made.
Yep, and first boss of the LST is Dr. Luge. Yeah, normally under most circumstances, you would take that boss, get some extra XP, get a nice little item, maybe.
Oh, there it is.
And at other times, you're gonna do like what Tybalt does and just find the D-Mist.
Yeah, just find the D-Mist. Why worry about all these other things? Just find it.
Yeah, that's it.
Unfortunately, no ultra cheeky check on the moon CPU spot or package D-Mist in the lunar subterrane. Tybalt fulls to find, and that is going to put him solidly in the driver's seat. for our two restreamed runners.
Yep,
But my
and
goodness, what a fast Demus.
very. Yeah, and we saw that where Tybalt was checking the hook route, and we're like, okay, well that's going to put them behind, and then they were neck and neck at Cave Bahamut, and then split off again, and it's like, all right, well this is going to go one of two ways, and we see that solely in play.
Yeah, this is probably going to be unfortunate for Scythe Marshal, because I imagine if you kind of commit to that top down, more than likely he's hitting the Crystal Sword altar next. Does get a save point, so it won't be as far to walk from all the way at the top, but will cost him a little bit, unfortunately.
Yep, and time is
Or-
money. Time is
or-
currency.
Yeah, or I could be completely wrong and have zero clue what our runners are doing.
Well, honestly, doing the Crystal Sword check, because if you know your runner, your opponent in any sense, like we all, the majority of us know that Tybalt does have a tendency to take those gamble checks. We saw that with him checking the hook route. So it definitely would be a viable strategy when you're coming up against trying to find someone like the Demist, because going back to something that was said earlier, it's like you don't necessarily know, and at this point, it's just kind of like, all right, what do I do? And the important thing is just making a decision to go and do a check, because you can't think too much into, well, do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? Like, you just got to go.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just got to kind of let your intuition guide you. And as a runner, you probably do quite a few seeds, and you kind of get a feel for things. And sometimes you just got to trust that gut and trust what you've learned over the hundreds plus seeds that you may have run in your time.
And we see Tybalt grabbing that twin harp from Radia's mom. So we will get ourselves some music this seed. Yep, and as a hard required music.
You'll love to see it.
Yep, always great. Because I believe we're up to actually, last I checked, it was just over 400, and I think it's now approaching the 500 different songs that could be selected from for free enterprise. So, I mean, the majority of it composed by the ever so wonderful Xenocat. I believe some of the music has been kind of cherry picked from different sources, but the vast majority of these songs that we hear in Free Enterprise have been composed by the ever awesome Xenocat. A very awesome shout out and thank you to Xenocat for all of the amazing work that you've done. So yeah, as Chet is pointing out, that Twin Harp should be leading to the pan, which means our runners will have to go down, do the pan check, and then over to Sheila. Unless the pan is exactly the other half of Forge.
Pan should be the other half of Forge, I would think. Lots of back and forth, though. Flying down after you get the pan from this check, bonk, and flying back up above ground to turn it in. Flying back down to Forge. Hopefully you get a good Forge out of there. Nice stat stick for your Palom going into the end. And then just a quick trip over to Troya. Oh, no. Marshall running into the ever-elusive inventory boss.
Yep, and yeah, because so the pan, because Case Summon is on, when they bonk Young with the pan, that pan bonk could be the other half of Forge. So we do see on Tybalt's side about to go into music. So we get to commentate through music, right? That's how this works.
Only if you want people to dislike you. So I think for now,
And we see Tybalt taking out that Kainazo like it was nothing. Scythe Marshal, quite literally now on Tybalt's heels. Um, that was some lovely Xenoblade 2 music. And we see Tybalt getting the pan, exiting out of Cave Magnus as fast as possible. And with that, we will get another rendition of some Xenoblade 2 music.
Music's so wonderful. We heard it twice, um, back to back to each other. Only a Murasame from the pan bonk. So indeed, Sheila does have the goods today.
Yep.
All the more so because Darkness was Sheila 1, so she had the path to that D-Miss with that brought you right back to her for that pan. Sheila holding all of the keys to the puzzle for Forge in a roundabout way.
Yep, and we see Scythe Marshal trailing behind Tybalt ever so closely. Honestly, I think this is going to be a really, really, really close race.
Yeah, this is going to come down to execution in the Z fight. They are probably only maybe a minute apart. And if, Tybalt has a couple bad rolls or something like that, that can give Scythe Marshal the opening in the window to get through. But this seed giving our trackers all day a lot of work to do, pushing absolutely all of the buttons, none left behind.
All right, and so now I'm curious to see what Kokol is going to have at the shop. I'm hoping to see some cabins in there.
I know we saw cabins one other place, but hopefully something good off the shelf. Oh, Tybalt going to be kind and not rob Kokol of his precious goods.
Well, now hang on. It's still early on.
Gotta wait till he leaves the room, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Throw him off the trail.
Yep. Some crystal rings and some tasty apples.
Oh, those are really good. I'm not entirely sure when Palom gets up to that magic number for the agility anchoring, but we have not seen a cursed ring. So you're going to have to try and have him hit probably 28 or nearabouts in order to go to Z.
Yep, and we see that Asura Rod, the plus 15 wisdom, and can cast. Most interesting, it's a plus 15 wisdom stat stick that can cast white.
Very interesting indeed. A chance for Palom to have all of the attack magic, even the one holy spell he doesn't normally get.
Yep. Because now he can look at his twin sister and go, hey, look what I can do. And cast white.
So sure enough, putting that one crystal ring on the Palom to boost him up, and then tossing an Artemis bow on the Fu, trying to speed up that Fu as well. Fu, not known for his agility and his speed. That crystal ring and Artemis bow will do a lot to bring up his speed and kind of put him in a better position going into this Z fight.
Yep, and we see both of our runners. Here in just a moment. But both of our runners' key items lit up like fireworks display. Just everything on the board, all lighting up. And Beauty, I see some some Z question marks in chat. I didn't realize that it was I guess it's normal to take a nap before trying to stay up for the ball drop, right? People gonna go to sleep or
Exactly. Everyone's going to have a very late night tonight. So, it's good to get a quick nap in, get your rest, so you can stay up and have a good time. But you know what? I have an inkling that may not be what they're talking about, Blue.
you are absolutely correct. Because those particular flags are for the final boss, Z, Zeromus. Much unlike the other bosses, we can't move Z around. So we are up to over 600, I believe, at this point. Different sprites for what Zeromus will be. Because while we can't move them around, we can move the original image for Zeromus out. So there is a common phrase, a turn of phrase, or a quote. I know it's been a while since I've done commentary. What is that thing that's normally said on comms for this fight?
I think the appropriate thing is to ask, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Does it have a butt?
Does it have a hat?
Does it have a hat butt? Or a butt hat?
And is all of it cute as one solid package, hat and butt together?
We will see. Stay tuned for next time on Free Enterprise. Dun 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 dun.
Watch it be a Dragon Ball Z sprite too.
I
That would be mwah.
that. All right, banana. You know what? That's par for the course. That is par for the course because in Dragon Ball Z, they were monkeys. They were gorillas. I love it.
No butt or hat, but certainly cute.
Yep. This is a very positive sprite because it's, as you can tell, it's a Nintendo, not a Nintendo.
And I think it seems pretty appropriate for the hubris and the jokester nature of Palom that we're going to have a banana.
Agreed.
Oh, but we see that the spells are flying, and interesting enough, Kane not even getting zerked, going for the full reflex strats and probably the HP skip. Just going to have Kane be a bit of a chemist.
Hey, you know what? That is actually very valuable because we all know Kane to be patently average, and by that, he'll sometimes hit for like really good amounts, and then other times you just wonder why he has even a weapon. But yeah, Kane playing the role of chemist. He's very speedy. He can get those cure 2 pots, cure 3 pots off, while Palom and Fu sling out some nukes. And because with those nukes, he'll only have to do the 1 HP pool. Won't even have to worry about the fill script.
Yeah, and with Palom, with so many levels and Palom having white, she's going to do a lot of work as well. So yeah, I think that's actually kind of the best setup there. Having a Zerker trigger that HP refill script in the middle of the fight is only going to be a detriment to this party. So I'm curious to see if Scythe will go for the hybrid strats with such a strong spoon word, or if he'll do the same. I see Eddie already queued up, so I think we'll get our answer pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're only a couple of 3 spells away at most, depending on how people roll, before Z is down and out. Nope, that is a down and out. GG's to Tybalt with an official time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 59 seconds. GG's to Tybalt.
GG's indeed. Very well run race. Even did a little extra hunting for that D-mist, but ultimately finding it and pulling out ahead. Very well run race, especially considering all the places we had to go and all the things we had to get.
Yep. Let's see. And we will see if Tibble wants to come in for an interview.
Scythe Marshal keeping it a really close race right behind. Also running with the same exact strats, just bouncing spells, keeping Eddie from attacking. Don't know if Rosa got to white. Actually, looking at the HP, she definitely got to white. So, yeah, committing to the same exact play here, which makes an absolute ton of sense, not only with the characters we have, but with the party distribution we've had all seed.
And pushing buttons.
Yeah, just an absolute clinic on how to do this with mage strats. You know, once again, you've picked up so many levels, having to do so many boss checks and run through everything, all the Fey March, Baron Basement, even some of the Lunar Subterrane, which with K-Moon off you don't normally see. But you know, there's not. By the end, it just kind of makes it almost formulaic to go into the Z fight.
Yep, and yeah, I mean, you know, with the Z fight, there's not a whole lot of strats, but and you know, it's solely depending on your group comp. But with that, we see Z go down. Nevertheless, GG's to Scythe Marshal with an official time of 1 hour 39 minutes and 22 seconds. GG's to Scythe Marshal.
GG's and Eddie cheering like he actually did any work this fight.
Yep, he's trying to regale himself as the MVP. With the ding in my ear and the click of the mouse, that is a person popping in here. Tybalt, and yeah, that is Tybalt. GG to Tybalt.
GG.
GG's fantastic run from you, Tybalt. You know, this seed really seemed to want to give you an Eddie, just absolutely throwing a ton of them at you. What was your thought when you saw that spoon on Ordeals after dismissing, you know, what was it, 3 or 4 Eddies from your party?
I saw the spoon, but I'm like, you know, I'm kind of committed to my party here. Like, I really don't want to spend the time to try to find a curse string to really bring Zerkers online. Yes, 20 in agility is great, but you kind of want lower for Zerkers. And Eddie is, you know, a toss-up. If you have Element Armors on, sure, but other than that, it's like, eh. I was already committed to, you know, once I saw Fu, and I'm like, yep, I'm committed to this party. I've got 3 mages, let's go.
Yep, and also have another ding in my ear with Scythe Marshal joining us, and GG's to you, sir.
So for both of our runners, this seed really made you check everything. You know, I think probably the most interesting is that having to go all the way down in the Lunar Subterrane with K-Moon off, just looking for that D-Mist. You know, what was the thought when it came down to that hunt? Were you both just kind of committed to where's my density? Was there any thought to maybe doing a cheeky check? Like chat was talking a lot about package was still out there. You had giant, or was it just go for that amount, that concentration?
So I did King Queen spot before going to the moon for a bit of a cheeky check. I was gonna check the LST, and if it didn't pan out to be the LST, I was going straight to package.
I don't know if I did any actually cheeky checks. So, like, I went straight for the LST. I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I've thought about doing Giant before, and, like, I don't like doing the package check.
Which raises my question of, you know, once, like, was there a thought process or plan, you know, for going bottom up when you got to the LST versus top down?
I went bottom up. The density, I had the pass. It really didn't matter to me whether or not I had to go top down or bottom up because I had the pass.
I
Yep,
always do.
we were both kind of thinking that you were potentially going to go to the Crystal Sword, just because, cheeky checks.
Go ahead, Scythe.
Well, I always.
I see Scythe is muted.
No, I'm hearing him.
Huh. Is that...
Oh, you were saying,
okay.
Scythe?
Yeah, so I always go like if I'm just hunting bosses, I'll do Mura Altar, and then do Mura, and then White Sword or White Spear, Ribbon Room, Masa, Crystal Sword. So that's my sort of plan. I don't know if it always works. It worked today, I guess, but
Yeah, when it came down to, I was looking for Legend Sword, Twin Harp, and Pan. I'm going, oh no, please, the high density chance of Demus being on the table is just astronomical. Please don't let it be Demus. And I do Cave Value. It's like, Demus Hunt, yay.
And I would just like to throw out there real quick, I apologize, Scythe Marshall. You were apparently muted from when I did tracking the last stream.
So I'm curious for our runners. C-Buy, I think, is probably the more interesting flag that we had on here, along with the 4-person party. Going to the seed, especially with the Palom hero, was there a commitment? Both of you went more mage heavy and almost mage committed, really. Was there a thought to sticking with that, or was it kind of going to be what parties you ran into? Both of you dismissed the Cecil up on top of Zot, so it seems like maybe there was a thought to what your party comp was going to be with that flag set already on.
Well, with T-Pro being the treasure setting, you're going to have to find something to really bring Cecil online. Yeah, we had a light sword early on, which is fine, but you always want something better for him. And so finding an Excalibur Crystal Sword, especially on T-Pro, is going to be quite difficult. Whereas mages, you really don't need gear, you just need levels.
yeah. So, I guess for me, I was just gonna roll with whatever the game threw at me. I started with Palom, Kane, Rydia, Edward, because those were the first 4 characters I got, and I had Sirens and Coffins. So I said, all right, let's do it. It'll be fine. Rydia's fine. I could have got Ashura. It was going to be fine. And then I found Rosa. Well, yeah, I found Rosa and said, okay, by Kane. And then I found Fusoya, and I said, okay, well, I guess at that point, I can't take Rydia anymore.
Yeah, Rydia is really useful throughout with Bahamut and Leviathan, but once you get to Z, she just needs an astronomical amount of levels to really be effective. So I can totally understand that play of letting her go.
Yeah, and it's J spells.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say that. I saw armor come up, and I'm like, nope, Rydia, you're out. I'm sorry. J spells, you need to be 54. No, thank you. And then getting Bahamut from Pinktail was just kind of an insult to injury, because it's oh, well, that would have been great.
Well, I think that about wraps up my questions. Blue, any on your end for our runners?
Well, I mean, most of it was covered. To both of our runners, do you see yourselves playing this flag set again? Anything out there to throw out there for anyone interested or maybe hesitant on, checking out this particular community club?
I don't know. Maybe I'll speak for both Tybalt and myself, but I think we've run every single race of Hero's Journey. Alchemy does some really great work with the flags. The Palom one, I think, is really on brand. And I think if you're worried about these flags, go out and try them. There's generally a lot that you can work with on all of the Hero's Journey flags. So It's alchemy is not out there to hurt you. I think mostly.
But mostly, I mean, yeah, I've done every single Baron Heroes journey except for one, I believe, and I've enjoyed this community club race since the very beginning. Like, if you want to get into Sea Hero, this is probably one of the other ways to really get into it, because you're featured around a single character, and so kind of being able to figure out how best that character works with Sea Hero is what I think this kind of... I can't think of the exact words off the top of my head right now.
Pretty much, if you're wanting to explore the realm of how specific mechanics work with a particular hero, Sea Hero will go and assist with that.
Yeah. Alchemy does an amazing job of molding the flags around that particular hero, so it is not extremely hard. We always, when we be able to choose our hero for the next time, we have a star rating between 0 and 10, and Alchemy is pretty on point with how difficult the star rating is. So,
and I believe she rated it at 8 out of 10 for this seed, and I think with that Ogopogo at the king spot, that is pretty apropos and on the nose.
Oh god, I was hoping it wasn't going to be Ogopogo.
Yeah, I do not blame either of you for fading that till almost dead last, if not completely dead last on the blue planet.
Yeah, I don't think I left it till last, but I said, you know what? I got Nuke on Palom. Sure, let's do Ogopogo. It'll be fine. It was almost fine. Second time.
Nuke on Palom? I didn't.
Ooh, yeah. I threw so many sirens at my mages.
I cleared Fame Arch before I did my final grind, because I did a bit of a flavor town beforehand.
Ah, I see.
Just enough to Palom up to Quake, and then I can just kind of, expedite the overworld with Virus and Quake. But I think that's all that I have.
Okay. Scythe Marshall, anything? Any final words before we go and part ways?
No, I think I'm good. Happy 2023 tomorrow, I guess, or probably now in some parts of the world. I hope everyone has a good year, etc. Thanks to our restream team, by the way. Asuka for doing the restreaming, and Beauty and Blue for comms, and Zaldi for tracking, and Alchemy for rolling the seed and setting up Baron's Hero's Journey. I never get the apostrophe S's right there, but yeah, it's lots of fun, and I hope everyone takes care.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
Thank you to both of you for an amazing display of showmanship. GG's to you both, and stay safe out there. Have a rest, kick up your feet. You've earned it. Thank you.
GG's and Happy New Year's to you both.
GG's, take care.
And speaking of New Year's, we have got one more race. We have no more races for the rest of the year. This wraps up 2022 here on our restream. But starting tomorrow, fresh and early, first day of the new year, we have got the 99 Percenters Club at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on this channel here, Free Enterprise Prime.
Well, now is that 7 p.m. Eastern Time today? I think that's 7 p.m. Eastern Time today, yeah.
Interesting. I thought it was tomorrow. I do apologize, but we will be having the 99 Percenters Club come through rather soon. It is tomorrow. Thank you, Asuka, in chat for confirming. So that does wrap us up for today. But we do have somewhere fun to send you off to. We are going to be raiding over to Eskron, another wonderful member of our Restream and Community Club runner, who is running his community club async, Looters Anonymous. So if you're in that club and you want to avoid some spoilers, now would be a good time to kind of go ahead and jump off. But nonetheless, thank you again to all of my Restream team with me today. Asuka for Restreaming all day for pushing the buttons, and Blue for joining me here in the booth.
Yes, and the amazing, ever so awesome Beauty and Discovery. And just to kind of quickly point out that I can click on buttons. Yeah, y'all stay safe. Have a great New Year, and we hope to see you again soon.